All right, folks, we are live. Sorry for the delay. We got a couple minutes. I had to restart this stream because the first one got messed up. But we're here now. We're going to wait for more people to join. This is the Aquarius reading for the week. All right, I just finished the Libra reading and before that the Gemini reading. So this will be the last of the air signs for the week of October to the 19th. Just giving people a few minutes to come into the reading. Go ahead and have a sip of iced coffee. All right, here we are, 6:10. We're going to get into it. All right, Aquarius. This is the last of the readings for the air signs, for the weekly air signs. All right, guys? So, weekly readings, we pull out, I'm going to pull out 3 angel messages. All right? See if I can get my flash on. There we go. Some light. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me, Bow and Arrow Tarot, for the Aquarius Weekly reading. All right, we're going to go ahead and get right into it, my lovely Aquariuses, and pull out your 3 romance angel messages. All right? All right, we have stay optimistic about your love life. This just came out, right? Just came out for the reading I just did. And we have trust. All right, so the situation is calling for you to have faith, right? And we have express your love. Go ahead and make the romantic gesture. Now, express your love is one of those messages that doesn't really come out often, right? There's certain messages that come out a lot, regularly, right? Certainly for the collective of readings, and some that come out very occasionally, and express your love is one of them. So this week for you, Aquarius, is we're talking about just that, making the romantic gesture. Go ahead and showing your feelings, wearing your sleeve on your heart, being open. Let's go ahead and get right into your animal spirits for the week. Hello, Chris Silverwolf. What a beautiful name. I love that. How are you today? All right, we just pulled out the romance angel messages. Stay optimistic, trust, and express your love. We're going to pull out your animal spirits. And again, animal spirits can come in as stages in life, events. They can come in as energies that you are drawing on to help you through a particular situation. They can also come in as individuals who are resonating with a particular animal spirit to also come in and provide support. So, all right. Well, let's see if this sheds some clarity for you, Chris. We're all hanging in there, right? That's what it's all about. We have fire and first one out. Fire energy, right? That right side up triangle at the top is associated with fire. Fire and energy is irritation, irritability, being whipped up into froth. Right? There we go. And Panther, more fire energy. Uh-oh, here we go. We're going to get into it. I'm going to talk to you about the Panther. Panther's very strong energy coming in. All right, 2 fire, and there's your 3rd fire. Wow, Aquarius, what the actual fuck? Hyena. Fire energy also. All right, so we are talking about a lot of fire this week, talking about a lot of passion involved in your situations. Let's get right into it. Fire ant. First of all, the fire ant energy, we're talking about this kind of, this is the personality that is extremely irritated, right? Very little things can set them off. When we look at fire ants in the wild, they come together And they work as one. This is also somebody who is a stickler for rigid thinking, right? This is the great, this is somebody who's almost like the ultimate soldier in a way, right? They follow orders. They need to follow orders. They're very orderly. And so this energy can become sort of extreme sometimes. And when things don't fit in that order, or when things disrupt the order, that fire and energy can get very angry, very irritable. It can explode, right? And really descend on a person, right? And so if you're dealing with that type of personality, then it's time to sort of pull back. It's time to cool down. If you are resonating with this, if right now you are really just feeling a little bit overwhelmed because things are not working to the way you need them to work, you're feeling almost a bit of anxiety because the orderliness of your world is maybe being disrupted and it's causing you to sort of react, time to sort of pull back, take some time for yourself, try to cool down your psyche a little bit. This can also involve foods, meditation, eat cooler foods, right? Stay away from, you know, I'm reading the chats as we go along, so I was just reading that, Chris. I'm a Sagittarius myself, so I resonate with that. Um, and so if you're feeling like this is the type of energy that's really coming up in you right now, and it's not being very positive or progressive for you, right? Then what you need to do is just pull away from life's sort of, you know, troubles right now, from this feeling of having to stick to the letter. Just pull away and try to cool down your psyche a little bit so you can begin to sort of flow freely again. We have the panther. Now the panther, another strong fire element animal. Now the panther talks about clearing away sort of the unnecessary, right? Clearing away the unnecessary things in your life. When we think about a panther, you ever imagine a panther, you know, when they descend on a situation, you can hear that roar that they have. It's not like a lion. It's like a, you know, like I can't even describe it, but it's a trebly kind of growl, between a growl and a hiss. They can come in and they can cause a lot of chaos. The panther enters our life in the form of chaos, but what he brings with him is a clearing of the way. This chaos clears the way of the unnecessary, right? An example could be if something happens, say for instance, you are indeed living with someone, or, and this is just an example. This is not to say this is your scenario, Chris, but as an example, say you're living with somebody and the situation that you're living in is for whatever reason, you're in it and getting out of it seems to be very, very difficult. All of a sudden, something happens that causes a bunch of chaos and you're forced. Say, for instance, something happens to the building. All of a sudden, the building has been checked, and L&I comes in, says everybody has to move, and this chaos ensues, right? And you feel like, oh shit, you know, what's going to happen now? And then in the midst of this chaos, what ends up happening is you end up either moving, you end up either maybe arranging a different agreement, you end up clearing things out, you may end up finding things in the apartment you were looking for, or throwing things away that you don't need. And what ends up happening is that once all the dust settles, you find out that this chaos was necessary. You find out that everything that happened was necessary for you to finally be forced to clear out some of the detritus of old shit so that you can finally move forward. It's a very scary situation that happens oftentimes, but it is for your ultimate good. And it is a part of sort of a death and renewal process. But with Panther, we're talking about that really chaotic way of burning off what we no longer need. Hyena. Now the hyena is also a fire elemental animal, right? But with the hyena, we are associating wit, sarcasm, laughing, right? Uh, Stop saying, Chris, you're cracking me up. Wait, a couple of beers and you won't turn vegan. Oh my God. All right, I got some vegan jokes, but I won't say them now. Vegans are people too, Chris. Hyena. So the hyena is associated with wit and sarcasm, right? And this is the person who often hides behind their wit and sarcasm, right? A hyena individual is the person, and it's quite difficult to watch sometimes when people resonate with this energy, um, because good night, Latoya. Um, because what happens with hyena energy is that usually the wit, the sarcasm, the jokes, the funny attitude is really there to hide a deeper hurt. These are people who are really deep down inside. They're very sort of sensitive, right? They're sensitive. They feel hurt about something, but they don't want the world to know it. They dare not let the world know it. So rather than sort of show that side of themselves, they hide behind their wit. They hide behind humor. And it can be quite a sad thing to see sometimes, especially when you are an empathic person and you can feel where this is truly coming from, right? And so what happens here oftentimes, and if this is you, if you're resonating with this energy, right? It is painful sometimes. It is. But a lot of times people hide behind their wit and their sarcasm because they feel embarrassed of their pain. And the way to deal with that is to try to really face that head on. Why am I embarrassed of pain? Why am I embarrassed to be in pain? Why does it embarrass me for people to see my pain? Why would it embarrass me less to pretend it's not there than it is for it to really be there? And so sometimes when you can get into this situation of meditating on that and really looking at it for what it is, you will begin to find out that there's nothing to be embarrassed of, there's nothing to hide behind. And ultimately, it is for your benefit, right, to just face some of your perhaps hurts, sadness, grievances. Face them up front. Admit to them. It doesn't make you less of a person. It doesn't make you less sociable or less funny or less lovable, right? It just makes you more real. And so in this way, you break the illusion of seeing yourself one way to see yourself for who you really are. People, yes, people can take advantage of vulnerability when you show it, but this showing vulnerability doesn't mean you have to be vulnerable, right? You can be in control of your vulnerability, right? This is what we learn. This is the lesson that we often learn, right? Showing vulnerable does not mean you make yourself vulnerable. It means that you show it. You allow people to see that you're a human being, but there's still boundaries in place, right? You still put boundaries in place. And you still don't allow people to step all over you, right? It's the example would be like, just because I'm crying doesn't mean that you can come over and say whatever you wanted to me, right? Just because I'm hurting doesn't mean I'm going to open up the door for you to hurt me even more. It just means that I'm able to show that I'm hurting. All right. And this is a lesson that we can learn, but we only learn that lesson if we go through the process of showing our pain to the world. You can't learn the lesson without going through the steps, right? This is what we talk about when we talk about moon energy as well. So let's get right into it, my lovely Aquarius. We're going to pull out about 5 to 8 3-card spreads and see what you're resonating with this week. And if we have some time afterwards, I'd be more than happy to ask any question, answer any questions, or maybe pull a few more cards. All right, here we go. Queen of Cups, exactly what I was just talking about. I almost wanted to say Queen of Cups. Knight of Cups and Eight of Pentacles. So here we're talking about this indeed. Queen of Cups is a watery aspect of water. Now the Queen is the one who's learned this lesson. She has learned that so below as above. She has learned to find strength in her vulnerability. She's not embarrassed to wear her heart on her sleeve. She has an extremely special cup to hand someone. Out of all the cups, only the Queen of Cups has that cup. If you notice throughout the deck, if you're a tarot enthusiast, you will notice there are no other cups in the deck that look like that. And this is a symbol of the special gift that she has to give to someone who is willing to reciprocate her love, who's willing to communicate the same level of love back to her. And so in this way, she opens herself up, her heart chakra is open, and in comes the Knight of Cups. So for some of you, you have opened up your heart. You have allowed yourself to be vulnerable indeed, and a Knight of Cups has come in. This could indeed be staying optimistic about your love life. For some of you who may have been single, you may have been throwing yourself into work recently. Eight of Pentacles talks about working away at a craft, disciplining yourself, right? Restricting yourself so that you can master a particular ambition to do with your skill, right? To do perhaps with work, right? Exactly, exactly. And so what I want to say is that this is coming in because this is very good right now for you, especially when you're dealing with fire and energy. For those of you who are feeling a little bit overwhelmed, if work is one of those things that calms you, if work is one of those things that focus you, then it is indeed a good thing to get into. Oftentimes people misinterpret this card as being bored, but here we're talking about a handcrafter. This person is a handcrafter. Now, if you know anything about handcraft, you know that you have to be a master handcrafter to be able to create the same piece over and over with that same level of quality. This is not a card about boredom. This is a card of mastering your skill. This is a card of restricting yourself in other areas, because 8 is the number for boundaries and restrictions, right? Strengths and weaknesses. By restricting yourself in other areas, you become disciplined and you focus and you become a master at your craft, which is what you truly need right now. However, this is a good reading. This week, a Knight of Cups. For some of you who have been knuckling down to work, a Knight of Cups does come in, and indeed there is a reason to stay optimistic about your love life. This is just the inkling of a possible love connection coming in for you. 10 of Wands, Queen of Wands, and Strength. Here we are, another 8. All right, so again, we're talking about boundaries, strengths, and weaknesses for you this week, Aquarius. Now, 10 of Wands, you're coming finally to the end of this period. Some of you have had a long or difficult stage of your life coming behind you now, that is ending for you now. You're about ready to lay down these wands. These wands represent the baggage that we've accumulated during the course of a particular time in our life that's been very difficult. An example could be, if you've been most recently dealing, say for instance, you've been taking care of a sick relative, this burden has been weighing down on you. It has stopped you from being able to pursue your other goals because of the responsibility that you have. Of course, you want to do it. It's a responsibility of the heart, right? But yet it is a burden. And along the way, you've begun to sort of lose your self-confidence. You've begun to sort of feel like, well, maybe I don't have what it takes, simply because you haven't been working towards your own personal goals, and you've been working sort of to support someone else. You've been working for this, this other responsibility that you've been shouldering. And so along the way, you start to pick up self-esteem issues. This is what these 10 of Wands represent. These 10 of Wands represent the baggage that we have accumulated during a difficult period of our lives, right? And we have used that for a crutch. If during this period you said, well, I'm not very good at that particular thing anyway, so I'm not going to bother. And now this lowered self-esteem vision, this lowered, I want to say, sense of self-esteem that we have about ourselves, now it becomes a crutch. Now you lean on it as an excuse for not doing more. This is how difficult situations become baggage. And this is how we accumulate 10 of Wands. But here we are, you've seen it, you're at the end of it, and now you're going to lay it down. You come out with a Queen of Wands. The Queen of Wands is one of those cards of self-transformation. You lay this down, you come to the end of this long sort of journey. You no longer need the crutches that you've been leaning on, and you integrate this. You find yourself really resonating higher, being a lot stronger, a lot more confident. You realize you're literally at this stage of learning what you need to learn from this path that you've been on, right? And now you're finding your strength increasing. Strength is coming in. Your strength is increasing. Your strength to put proper boundaries in place is increasing. Your strength to be able, you know where your weaknesses are now and where your strengths are. This is resonating higher too, because you've learned all of that during this period. Now that you've integrated it, you've made it a part of your psyche. You've made it a part of your composition of who you are, your ego and your soul together. You are integrating it. This is the week of learning, of integration, right? And laying down a difficult time. This is not without growing pains, but certainly this is you will be feeling in your heart that you have sort of made a quantum leap in your experience. 3 of Wands, 7 of Swords, 2 of Pentacles. Some of you have been forced to be very patient about a situation. 3 of Wands talks about patience. 3 is the number for patience as well. But 3 of Wands, we're talking about being forced to be patient about a particular path because you must take a moment to take the lay of the land. Moving forward will only hamper you. As excited as you are as wanting to move forward, as excited as you are at making the next step, you have to have the trust. Remember, trust is on board. You have to have the trust to be patient before you make your next move. You have a 7 of Swords coming in, and this might be why you need to be patient for a moment and take a step back, because 7 of Swords is the card for haste and futility. Oftentimes, 7 of Swords, now, 7 of Swords is my great, the rabbit, the tortoise and the hare. Okay, for those of you who know the story of the tortoise and the hare, right? The tortoise is methodical, it's slow, it's bit by bit, he makes his way to his goal. The hare is arrogant. The hare feels as though he should win the race anyway by virtue of naturally being better and faster than the tortoise. So he takes a nap, he cuts corners and blah, blah, blah. He does all of these things, but in the end, he finds out that it is futile to do anything but the real work. And he finds himself not winning what he wanted, right? And just not really achieving anything. Just always running around in circles. Meanwhile, the tortoise is moving further along to his destination and his goal. Even in the cards, you can see that the thief runs away with 5 of the 7 swords. The objective is to get all 7, and yet he fails at that too. Right? So this is the card of futility. And so we're talking about here, some of you may have been spreading yourself too thin. This is not to say, I'm not saying that you're the hare, that you're purposely trying to be this way, right? But what I am saying is that 7 is the number for dreams and aspirations. Sometimes we want our dreams so badly. We want it so badly. We want it now that we cut corners. And that is an essence of 7 of Swords too. Cutting corners is futile. Right? And cutting corners only leads to failure. So you have to take a moment to be patient. Some of you, take a step back. Don't be too hasty. It could be fire and energy is at play in that you're becoming irritable about things not working your way or about a success in particular not coming in. Take a moment to step back. Understand that you simply cannot achieve what you want to achieve by rushing. Some of you are also juggling 2 responsibilities right now. And so in this way, you're going to have to decide. This is why the 3 of Wands is on. You're doing too much. You're just doing too much. It's like people used to say, go lay down somewhere for a minute, right? Just go sit down, because with this 2 of Pentacles, I may have said 2 of Wands, I'm sorry. 2 of Pentacles here, you're juggling a lot of responsibilities right now. You're trying to cover your ass on a few things because you don't want to make that leap necessarily, but yet at the same time, you're cutting corners. For some of you, this is just all about taking a step back and really sort of reevaluating how you move forward. You're on the right track here, but you're just going to have to switch up your strategy a little bit here. 4 of Swords, there we have more. This is the card for strategy. 8 of Wands, Two of Wands, and there's your Two of Wands, and that's why I probably was talking about that, because thank you so much, Chris. Oh, I love it. Share it on Facebook. I love it. Yeah, if you can share my videos, help me to grow. I can keep doing these readings for you guys, which I do enjoy so much. Now, here's the strategy coming in for some of you. Like I said, Four of Swords. Four of Swords is the Great Truce card. It's the card that, when you four is the number for stability, right? It represents stability. So you've already achieved a certain amount of stability, but you want to maintain it. So in order to maintain the stability that you've already achieved in a particular area, it's time to retreat to your corner and strategize. Again, not to be too hasty, not to be too quick. Four of Swords is more about maintaining stability and maintaining your ground before you move forward. And so in this way, we pull back. Eight of Wands is up because one of the reasons you've had to pull back and evaluate your strategies, because a lot of communication is coming in that's very chaotic. Not all of it is thank you so much, Chris. Not all of it is sincere. People are throwing their 2 cents into your situation. Eight of Wands, remember I said before, 8 is, again, the number for strengths and weaknesses and boundaries. I believe this is now the third or fourth 8 that has showed up in this forecast readings for you, Aquarius. And so here we're talking about setting boundaries in place for those around you, for the type of energy that you're allowing to come in, because right now everybody and their mom has 2 cents to give you, and not all of it is helpful. This can also indicate mixed messages that come in from a lover or a close friend if you're involved in a love scenario. Eight of Wands can sometimes indicate a disjoint between what they're saying and how they're acting, and again, it requires focus, and it requires a certain level of boundary setting to be able to understand what is real, what isn't real, which one of these messages should I actually be paying attention to, and what is bullshit, right? And so also in terms of those of you who have a lot of people sort of trying to get into your face, trying to instigate, maybe trying to tell you what to do with your life, a lot of sort of mixed messages. Your family may be saying one thing and your friends are saying something else. It's time for everybody to step back. Time to put a line in the sand and say, listen, everyone step back, because this doesn't help. And this is, of course, there's your Two of Wands. You're ready to move forward with your plan. Everything indicates, look, he has the world in his hand. Everything indicates that you know how to move forward. The seed has been sown. Right? The Ace has come in. The Ace of Wands of inspiration has come in. You've planted it firmly in the ground, and now it's time for you to build upon that. But you can't do that until you go through this exercise. Why? Because you're going to need this exercise later. You're going to need to establish now your boundaries, right? And this is why this is happening, because now it's the time for you to set your boundaries with people. What you will accept, what you won't accept, right? In order for you to confidently move forward with your goals and your plans. Now is the time to set that. Again, Panther energy. Chaos is coming in a way to force you to get rid of things that are unnecessary. Extra superfluous hangers on and nonsense, detritus, flotsam and jetsam. All of that, right? It's coming in for you to distinguish what is not, to pare it all down to the bare bones, and to have a very clear-cut idea of how you intend to interact with people and on what level you allow them to get in and how much. This is all part of a future strategy for achieving your goals. Empress, Knight of Pentacles, and Six of Swords. So Empress energy is coming in because some of you need to really take time for yourself. Take time for yourself and nurture yourself. Empress, of course, is the divine feminine, but the Empress talks about a high level of creativity. But why is she so creative? Why is she able to bear fruit? Because she's fertile, right? She's fertile. And how do we maintain our fertility? And I'm not talking about physical fertility here, people. I'm talking about the fertility of our soul, right? Our fertility, our ability to continue to grow necessitates that we keep ourselves fertile in every way. And how do we do that? We do that by nourishing ourselves. How do you fertilize the ground? You feed it, right? You feed it. So in order to feed your own fertility, you have to nourish it. Right? You have to feed yourself things that are good for you. Take care of yourself. Treat yourself nice. Treat yourself in a way that makes you feel beautiful, that fills you, that feeds you. Do things that help you to calm down. If you're resonating with fire and energy, you're becoming overwhelmed, then take a step back from the rest of the world and do something for yourself that cools you down. You are the most important aspect of keeping yourself vital and alive by keeping yourself fertile. And this is the essence of Empress. And some of you right now really need to do that. You've been dried up by some of your relationships. Maybe they've been taking advantage of your nourishing energy. If you're trying to get pregnant, absolutely, Latoya, this is the time for you to take a lot of time for yourself. Right? This is the mother, this is the card for the divine feminine mother. But it is the card for fertility as well, Latoya. And so in this way, treat yourself. More than anything, what does she do? She is luxuriating, right? The most important thing for maintaining physical, emotional health is to luxuriate. And I mean not in a way of being around richness, money or something like that. I'm talking about relaxing, letting go of the stresses of life, not taking on the stresses of other people's lives. The Empress is only beholden to the Emperor. She answers to no one else. And then you have a Knight of Pentacles coming in. Now, the Knight of Pentacles indicates a commitment. So some of you are making a commitment to a particular goal. This could indeed be the manifestation of a child. Remember, people always associate Pentacles with money. Pentacles is the realm of the material. This also is part of our human body. The realm of the material governs the body, governs our health, governs our being able to produce children. Right? Producing children in the physical world is part of the realms of Pentacles in a lot of ways. Right? So Knight of Pentacles can certainly indicate a commitment. The Knight of Pentacles is the most committed knight in the deck. Oftentimes people say that this is an opportunity coming in, but the core cards are much deeper than this. And I would say for some of you Aquarius, you have set your mind on a particular goal, and it may be motherhood. It may be a new job. It may be a new project. But whatever it is, you are determined to get it. And you are determined to go down a road of harmony to get it. And here we have the Six of Swords. 6 is the number for journeying towards harmony. There are 3 stages to the journey towards harmony. The first stage is choosing to leave behind, choosing to leave negativity and strife behind. 5 of Swords is the card for strife. We choose to leave the strife behind. That's the first step of making a choice towards harmony. The second step is embarking on the journey, understanding that it is a journey. And the third is the journey itself. Here with the 6 of Swords, we could be anywhere along those stages. Chris, you're cracking me up. Covert narcissist. Yeah, they're not that covert, actually. All right. 6 of Swords here, though, we talk about journeying towards harmony. This is a decision. This is an intentional decision. Some of you may actually be traveling or moving. All right, but you'll be traveling or moving to a place that makes you feel good, that where you are with like-minded people. This is also an intentional decision to engage with more like-minded individuals. This is an intentional decision to leave strife behind. All 3 of these are very complementary if you are trying to achieve something like a new business, a new creative endeavor, and of course, Latoya, the ultimate creation is children. And so if you're trying to also become pregnant, then this is a great, great combination of energies that you want to concentrate on. All right, 3 of Cups, 9 of Cups, and 2 of Swords. All right, guys, I am going to, I think I'm going to leave it here. This will be the last spread, but I'm more than happy to answer any questions. If people have specific questions, you can of course send me a super chat. That's just a donation, nothing major, to my channel, and I'll be happy to pull some cards for you after I'm finished with this forecast. This is the last forecast for you guys, Aquarius. And so here we have a Three of Cups. Interesting. Celebrations are coming with like-minded individuals again, right? Now, Three of Cups talks about being with your tribe, your collective, the people that understand you, right? Excellent, Latoya. If you're about to move, then that is a positive, very, very positive reading that was for you. You can go back to that. I'm going to timestamp these later. Three of Cups talks about celebrating with like-minded people, finding your tribe. It can be that for some of you, it has been a long time since you've been around people that really understood you. Hi, Clarissa. It's been a long time since you've been around people who really understood you, who you feel comfortable around, right? This is a wish fulfillment for some of you. I'm going to say for some of you, an example would be if you are, maybe you are transgender, maybe you are gay, or maybe you have a different lifestyle and you've never really been out and about with people like yourself or people like-minded, or around a group of people who make you feel like they're part of a family, and now you found them. For some of you, you found them here, right? For some of you, this like-minded group has been sort of a wish fulfillment for you, because Nine of Cups talks about wish fulfillment. However, 9 is still the number for the Hermit in the major arcana, and with all the 9 suits, there is a hint of loneliness still there. And although for some of you, you have found your tribe, you're still lonely. You still you may have had all the blessings. 9 of Cups is a very interesting card in that the blessings have come in. This character is sitting in front of a lot of blessings they've achieved in their life. Certainly blessings in close relationships, but that one close relationship, that one connection, right? Uh, and here, let me say that. Thank you so much. That one connection has still eluded you. And that is the essence of the Hermit, the essence of being solitary, walking the path alone, right? Even though you found your tribe, you find yourself still looking for that, interestingly enough. Now, what comes in, there's the Two of Swords. Now, somewhere along the line, some of you who are experiencing this are feeling like you're being forced to make a choice. It could be that someone else in your life is saying, listen, it's either them or me, right? It could be that for some of you, you have found a love connection, but you've also found your tribe. Now, your love connection is making you choose. Maybe they're not being as supportive of your friend circle as you'd like, right? Whatever the case may be for you, and this is going to resonate differently for different Aquariuses who are in this situation. The Two of Swords is interesting. The Two of Swords comes in whenever we feel as though we're being forced to make a choice, but we can't make the choice, right? You can see her there. She's blindfolded with the Two Swords. How can you choose? They look the same. They feel the same. They weigh the same, right? How can she choose? So what does she do? She blindfolds herself and she goes inside to make a choice. She searches her heart to make the choice. Because she can't make the choice on the surface, the two options are seemingly indistinguishable. The river of her emotions are behind her, so she's got a lot of emotion caught up in this, right? But she's just unsure. This is indicated by the crescent moon, also a sign of unsurety. The lesson with the Two of Swords is that it's not a choice, it's a balance, right? Once you go within and you search yourself within, you realize that it was never about a choice to begin with. It was only ever about finding a balance. Whenever you are given two things in life and they are both things that are positive and good for you, no one should ever make you choose. Life is not about choice. The universe is not about black and white and choices. Oftentimes in the West, we delineate a lot of these cards down to a choice, but the number two has never been representative of making choices. It has only ever been representative of duality and balance. So here we find that the secret in having both swords in your life is to find a way to balance them. And if you are involved with anyone who is pressuring you in any kind of way to make choices like this, um, then you really need to look at their motivation, right? Because someone who loves you would never make you choose would never make you choose between them and something else in your life that is that important. And you yourself should not be thinking in that way. It could be that you're used to thinking that way, but this is a new day, right? And now you're going to be going into learning how to balance. And this ultimate wish fulfillment that you have here that eludes you will come in once you learn to balance. It can be that for a long time it's eluded you because you haven't learned how to balance the different things in your life, and you have before perhaps always ever only made it about the choice of one over the other. This decision here, this understanding here is what's going to lead the way for this final connection, which is going to take you to the Ten of Cups. All right, guys. All right, this is the reading. I'm just going to take a minute to look over some of these chats. Thank you so much, Chris. Oh, I really appreciate it. I walked alone for my twin flame since February. We have multiple twin flames. We have a lot of soulmates, in our lives and over our lives, folks, and soulmates come in for various reasons, and so just because you have a twin flame or you have a soulmate connection, sometimes you have to walk away from them, right? Because at that time, it just wasn't right for you. Anyone, and let me tell you something, you can have a soul connection with somebody that where the connection right now is toxic. Right? That doesn't necessarily mean they're not your soulmate, but that also doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be with them. It just means that the connection is certainly there, but it just means that both of you are at different places and they need to learn something else than you do. And it's just not right. It's two ships in the night. You're just at different places. This doesn't by any way negate that you may have a connection with that person. Right? Oftentimes, we live in a world of assumptions. We assume I have a connection, I have a soulmate connection, so the next assumption we make is that we need to be together, or that this soulmate connection should be wonderful and harmonious, and that's just not the case. Right? Sometimes we can have a soulmate connection with somebody. Sometimes we can be drawn to somebody and know that we've been with that person before, but also know that right now we simply can't be with them. All right, guys? All right, if that's it, I'm going to call it. This is a very long reading for sure. Usually my weekly is a lot shorter than this. I'm going to go ahead and try and timestamp these videos, but this is the end of the weekly for the air signs. So now the air signs and the fire signs are up, and I just wanted to say thank you so much. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you so much for all your chats, Chris, Latoya, Clarissa. Who else came in? That's it. You guys are the only ones. Chris, Latoya, and Clarissa. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. Thank you to all of you who watched, and even if you didn't chat, but you were watching, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it resonated. The best thing you can do for me is to like and subscribe, to share my video. That helps me grow my channel. This is what I do. So thank you so much, everyone, and have a wonderful evening. I'm going to see you next week for the weeklies. I'm going to try to go ahead and live stream these from now on. So I'll see you guys next Saturday. Have a wonderful, wonderful night. Bye-bye now.